All right, let's bring in former ambassador at large and Atlantic Council senior non-resident fellow Nathan Sales to talk about why the White House, I guess, is seemingly on the defensive here. Nathan, so the USS Carney, as Lucas was pointing out, in the Red Sea shot down about 14 drones today. I think we're talking $2 million each to bring down a drone. Why are we not attacking the launch sites?
It's a great question. It seems to be open season on Americans in the region, and not just Americans, but these shipping containers on these ships as well. I think the White House is afraid of its own shadow. It's afraid of provoking Iran, which is the puppet master here. You know, we talk about the Houthis, we talk about these militia groups in Iraq. They're acting on orders from Tehran. They're using weapons provided to them by Tehran. They've been trained by Tehran. So if you really want to stop the attacks, you've got to crush the head of the snake. And the head of the snake right now is the Islamic Republic of Iran, that has a long-term goal of driving the United States out of the region and destroying the state of Israel. If we simply sit back as though we were a spectator, Iran is going to keep doing it.
We've done it before. I mean, under the Trump administration, we went after and took out Soleimani. There was a lot of panic that would set off World War III. Didn't happen. So what's the reasoning? And I know you mentioned one of our allies also does not want us to do this.
Yeah, you know, it's not just during the Trump administration when we took Soleimani off the battlefield. And remember, this was a man who had the blood of literally hundreds of American soldiers on his hands who died in Iraq. But it wasn't just then. Ronald Reagan did something very similar back in the 1980s. He basically sank half the Iranian Navy in one day. And what happened? We did not find ourselves in World War III. And the reason for that, the lesson we need to draw from history, is that Iran backs down when confronted with displays of American strength. It's American weakness that is provocative. Now, there's also some countries in the region that are telling us, like, maybe don't take out the Houthis because that's going to disrupt this sort of very uneasy ceasefire that exists. The Houthis have been waging war on Saudi Arabia, on the United Arab Emirates for a number of years. And so there's some understandable concern about what it would mean for the United States to take out Houthi terrorists. But that's what we have to do. That's the price we have to pay for being a superpower. At a minimum, we've got to be able to protect our own troops and to protect our diplomats. And simply hoping for the best and hoping the Houthis cease firing is not a recipe for success.
And at the end of the day, this is really all about Israel, right? It's about trying to blockade Israel and creating chaos in these waters. But let me ask you, should we expect other European countries to get involved? I know the UK was involved with us today. But should there be some sort of coalition in these waters to protect these ships?
Look, I don't think that would hurt. And as you said, the European countries that have robust military capabilities are taking the steps that we are to try and protect the shipping in this region. Problem is, there aren't, like, once you go through the Brits and the French, we're not really talking about a long list of European military partners. That's a big problem and a separate problem. But the basic problem here is the United States has all the authority we need. We have all the tools we need to protect our people and to protect ships that are bringing goods and oil around the world. I mean, if you think inflation is out of control now, wait till you see what happens when the Houthis shut down the Red Sea. So we don't actually need any more partners than what we've got to prevent that from happening. What we need is will. We need the president, we need the White House to make the decision that this matters, that we're going to use the capabilities we have to protect Americans and to protect commerce.
Go back to that, though. What happens if they shut down the Red Sea? If they're able to and we don't do anything about it, what happens to an average American?
Prices go up dramatically. I mean, we already heard that 10% of the world's oil comes through the Red Sea. So many goods and services, goods that we are purchasing for Christmas probably came through the Red Sea. If you take those shipping corridors offline, and that's what the Houthis are trying to do,
right.
If you take that offline, that's going to hit Americans in the pocketbook at a time when they're going to be paying off their credit card bills from maybe a Christmas blowout. So again, the White House needs to take this seriously. We have all the tools we need. We've got 2 carrier groups right now on station. These aren't there for show. They're there to take action.
Do you think we could see something over the holidays? I mean, some kind of they're not saying anything right now, and they wouldn't. It would be a surprise attack. But I mean, are you confident that we could see something a little bit more aggressive from the White House?
I wouldn't hold my breath. We've seen since October mid-October, almost 100 attacks on American soldiers.
Yeah.
And typically what we do is sit back and wait for another half dozen. I think after about 20, the ratio is about 20 to 1. After about 20 attacks, you'll see the American response. And the responses have been, frankly, underwhelming, blowing up an empty warehouse.
Well, they keep doing it, so obviously the message isn't getting across.
Right. Or the message they're getting is, again, it's open season on Americans. We can attack them with impunity.
Yeah. Nathan Sales, thanks for coming in and joining us.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.